So entourage identification has been an issue with masks on, but we're pretty sure we saw Craig Tyser under that cap. And Mask, who was the Coach of the Year on the WTA in 2019. That's another thing these two players have in common. Their two coaches have been Coaches of the Year in women's tennis the last 2 seasons.
What a nice job Craig Tyser's done with Ash Barty the last couple of years. And their entire approach is team. Everything is team-minded, team-oriented.
Primer set al servicio Iga Swiatek.
Jenny Zhang is in the chair. Swiatek, bottom of your screen, will start on serve. Glad you're with us live on Tennis Channel for this one.
This is difference when you watch players that are comfortable on clay and how they move and get to balls and get in and out of the corners. You can just see these two. There's a reason why they've had the most success on this surface the last couple of years.
Let seconds.
Lindsay, when Swiatek beat Laura Sigmund in the second round yesterday, that was her 20th career clay match at tour level. She's gone 16-4 to start her career on clay. The only two players in the Open era to have better starts on clay, Monica Seles and Chris Evert.
No pressure there.
Right? Chrissy started 17-3. Monica started 19-1.
Now, if that's any indicator of the future for Iga here.
They have hit both lines. No call. Barty gives it a look. Here are the numbers on the clay streak, red clay streak for Swiatek.
What a nice job she's done. How about not losing sets either? Only lost 36 games. Can Barty get to 5 games, Brett? Can she get to 5 games in a set? That's what we want to find out. Just a phenomenal job in this 9-match win streak on red clay.
Ashleigh, Barty.
Last time Swiatek lost on red clay, Rome last year to Arantxa Rus. Last time Barty lost on clay, red clay, 2019 Rome to Mladenovic.
How do we work in the green clay? Do we work it in, or is it clay, or is it
Hartrue or green? I mean,
I don't know.
Everyone's noticed that we're qualifying these streaks with red.
Yeah, exactly.
Clay.
Because Ash Barty played in the Volvo Car Open, ended up losing in the quarterfinals there.
Lost to Paula Badosa.
30.
But that loss was sandwiched in between titles at Miami and then in Stuttgart. Throw in the Yarra Valley 500 to start the year. That's 3 titles and a 22-3 record.
Trenda 15. 30-15.
Swiatek does phenomenal job on this surface of moving her shots around. She gets more spin on her forehand, and with that gets more jump off the court and just enough to get it out of the strike zone of Barty. Just coming around the outside of the ball a little bit more gives her that edge on getting it off the court with a little bit more angle and the acceleration. Backhand much flatter off the racket of Swiatek. Forehand a little bit more of an extreme grip and really brushes up on contact.
Couple doubles.
Deuce.
Ties, as she calls them.
Barty.
Seeing Barty come forward and hit that gorgeous volley winner reminds us that in addition to all the singles winning she's been doing, she won the doubles title in Stuttgart with Chen Brady.
And that's what Barty's got to try not to give Swiatek right in the strike zone. She hits down on her backhand so well because she hits flat and timed that one perfectly.
Break point out of the gate for Swiatek. One of 2 players on tour last year, Swiatek, who broke more than half her return games.
Iguales.
That's such an advantage that Barty has, is that serve and how she uses it.
Deuce.
Picks her spots, different spins.
Barty.
One of the compelling aspects of this matchup, and there are many, is that Barty is one of the top servers in the sport, second most prolific holder of serve last year, and Swiatek, one of the best breakers of serve.
Gracias. Iguales.
It's so important to keep Barty out of the middle of the court and force her to try and hit her forehand from the sides. And she's so good from the middle of the court when she's able to set up. That is Team Swiatek there.
Peter Szurspetovsky.
Nice.
How'd I do? That one gives me nightmares. That's 3 doubles in this opening service game for Ash. That's what she averages per match. And she's already hit 3. Tells you maybe how much she feels like she needs to go for on serve to play against Swiatek.
And just no rhythm right now. 4 of 13 first serves in. But break point down, she's been making those first serves up the tee, but wants to try and find a more comfortable rhythm.
Coming up on 8 minutes for this first Barty service game, another break point. Is one of these 2 players favored in your mind when the rally gets neutral? Or are they just both so good from the baseline that...
I think they're both so good from the baseline. Barty, in looking for her forehand, and she gives so many players nightmares with that slice. Swiatek can handle that one okay. So some of the players that aren't comfortable handling the slice or don't know how to get up to it, don't know how to change the spin and get it to go up over the net.
Barty has been so good against everyone, but especially against the best players in the world this year. 6-0 against the top 20. I beg your pardon, 6-0 against the top 10, 8-0 against the top 20. And it's an opening break for Swiatek. Here's Barty's run on the year, including those 3 titles.
The heartbreaker, though, losing in that quarterfinal match to Karolina Muchova, up a set and a break and really cruising, and then just lost her way. That is the tournament she wants more than the others. Well, maybe Wimbledon and the Australian Open, but now 73 weeks at #1. Gonna stay there for a little bit longer as well. But how about that 6-0 versus top 10 opponents? That's a clutch player. That's a player that gets better as the tournament goes on. She was in trouble early in Miami, down match point in her first match against Kuchova. Ended up getting through that and went on to take the title.
So 6 top 10 wins for Barty out of her 22 match wins this year. Next best is Jessie Pegula. She's got 4 top 10 wins. Muguruza has 3. Nobody else on tour has more than 2.
15 iguales.
I mean, interesting to see how
15
long Ash Barty can keep up this level and also stay on the road. When her and her coach Craig left Australia in early March to start in Miami, they left with no clear idea of when they would be returning back to Australia. As Barty said, a lot of tears shed at the airport. Prepared to stay overseas as long as possible, or really as long as Barty is willing to. Got to think at least through Wimbledon. She talked about through the US Open, possibly through the WTA finals, given the tough policies in Australia and getting into the country and the quarantine that arriving passengers have to go through.
It's why Ash explains she didn't play after February last year, didn't want to leave home and risk the possibility of not getting back in. And it's why she's left with no clear plan to come home this year. It's also why players like Nick Kyrgios haven't left home yet this year.
I read somewhere he's going to maybe start on the grass, right?
Yeah.
Is that true? Sometime in the next few months.
40-30.
Even last year when she was at home because of the travel restrictions from state to state inside of Australia, she and Craig Tyser couldn't hook up in the same place until October. So they had to do a lot of their training by Skype, by phone. Clean start for Swiatek. A break in between two holds. 3-love. Showing you earlier, continues to be a grind over on Stadium 3. American Marcos Giron took a 90-minute first set loss against Andujar. They are 4-all in the second. That's live on TC+. 3-love Swiatek here.
15-love.
That's a better point there from Barty, who's either got to get her first serve percentage up or she's going to have to figure out ways to play second serve points better like the last one, because Brett, right now she's winning in about 28% of those second serve points. That has to go up, or the first serve percentage has to go up, one of the two. Serving right now at about 40%.
Barty is not customarily a high first serve percentage player. Last year she served 58% first serves in, but she was #1 on tour defending her second serve.
$40-15. 40-15. $40-30. 40-30. Juego Barty.
Ace from Barty. She gets on the board.
Swiatek gana 3-1. 3-1.
Yes, hello, I'm so...
I got you. Go with us and get millions of flexible booking options. Expedia. It matters who you travel with.
Zero 15. Lot 15.
Swiatek also has a title already this year. Her second career win in Adelaide, just after the Australian Open. Didn't drop a set en route to that title either.
Barty looking a little bit more comfortable, getting used to Swiatek's shots, the spins, the paces. And when you've never played someone, it can take a little bit of time to get used to how the player plays. Sometimes you're caught off guard by either how fast their shots are coming or maybe how much they jump. Oof, it's that one by a lot.
Head shaker.
Yeah.
Quince 30. 15-30.
Things have been a little slow for Swiatek since that win in Adelaide. Lost her second match in Dubai, likewise in Miami. Those are the only two events she's played since coming back from down under. And here come break points for Barty to get back on serve.
15-14. Vote. Miss Swiatek challenging the call on the left service line. The ball was called out.
Interesting challenge there.
Second
Between
serve.
first and second serves, break point down.
Fox 10 real video technology here on Stadium. And that's the risk, right?
Barty.
Cause yourself a delay in between first and second, double fault, and the break back for Barty.
3-2.
That match on Stadium 3 is an absolute barn burner. They are at 2 hours and 20 minutes at 5-all in the second. Marcos Giron, who has one career clay court win, is trying to upset Pablo Andujar. It's live on TC Plus. Do feel free to double screen it. Back on serve here. Would this kind of match get locker room eyeballs?
Oh, I would imagine, for sure.
15 love.
Interested parties just to see how these two ladies handle it. I mean, Barty has done a phenomenal job managing her career in general, but also has the complete respect of the entire locker room, pretty much everyone in the sport, with just how mature her outlook is. There's never any drama. There's never really any excuses. Very focused on the task at hand, but very realistic that life goes on. I'm just going to go back to work tomorrow if I lose. I don't hear her ever really complaining, acting up.
Very Aussie.
You've got Swiatek on the other side that so well liked also in the locker room. Great personality, a lot of fun, brings a lot of brightness and a lot of laughter with her. And then you take into account the tennis part of it. And these two ladies, no doubt, have played the best clay court tennis in the last couple of years.
Final sit down of set 2 on Stadium 3 on serve. From the outside of the doubles alley, clean winner up the line.
A phenomenal job of reading where this serve might go, but also adjusting to it and being able to stay strong despite being pulled to her left. Nice contact made from what could have been a really tricky and uncomfortable position.
Barty, 3-all.
It's time to rally behind your favorite tennis stars because DraftKings is serving up ways for you to win thousands in prizes all tournament long. Just download the app, sign up with the promo code, and make it rain.
To your point about Swiatek, Lindsay, not only was she the most improved player on the WTA last year, she won the award for fan favorite, ending Simona Halep's 3-year run with that trophy.
I think the fans were, and in the media, everybody's just so interested in getting to know more about Iga and her story, her beliefs.
I think we've established now that the Polish players are very likable because didn't Aga Radwanska win that trophy like 6 times?
iguales. 15-all.
Ever since that service game, that 5th game where Swiatek was serving at 3-1, couple double faults, couple errors, she started talking to the chair umpire about something. She has not been as settled since.
Brenda Wallace.
That'll help.
31. Brenda Brandon. 40-30.
All right, Swiatek holds her serve. Trade of early breaks, 4-3 at the ball change. Next door on Stadium 3, Marcos Giron, if you weren't with us earlier, was up 5-1 on Andujar in the first set tiebreak, ended up losing it. 3-2 up in the second set breaker, live on TC+.
Quince 0. 15 love.
A T-serve on the outside is doing a lot of damage for Barty and disguising it well. The toss still goes more over her head than how most players would hit that serve. And Swiatek just hasn't quite moved over to her right quick enough yet on that ad side to return.
Clean return winner.
A nice job of reading the serve and knowing exactly what she wanted to do with that return. Easier to hit that, though, at 40 love or love 40. Not a lot to lose there.
Barty holds for 4-all. Some players have their trophies on their shoes. Some players have their initials on their shoes. When you get to a certain level, the manufacturers will customize them. That's what Iga has on her shoe. Very much a team approach with Swiatek.
Same with Ash Barty and their just philosophy. And Iga as well. Very close-knit team.
Her coach, Peter Sherspatowski, did an interview last week talking about how it takes a village to coach Iga, and the fact that there's only a 9-year age difference between them necessitates him bringing in other people to help mentor her in certain areas, and that includes a physio, a fitness coach, and a sports psychologist. He said jokingly, I believe I'm the dumbest one on the team.
Well, he's the smartest one on that team when he is open and willing to let other people in, right? Realizes, okay, maybe my strength isn't in the mental side, or maybe my strength isn't this. Okay, let's get her everything she needs to be the best possible version of herself.
Double there, 15-30.
15-30. 15-30.
Swiatek has been open about her use of a sports psychologist. Daria Abramovitz has been helping her for a couple of years now, and Swiatek says it's been vitally important.
Iguales. 31.
Well, next door, the second set only went an hour and 2 minutes.
40-30.
What are we at, 2:35 or so?
Right on it. Third set coming.
Oof. Luckily, that's the last match of the day on that court. That'd be a bummer if you were waiting for that one to end.
All right, Swiatek holds for 5-4, getting all we bargained for in this matchup. We have the coveted Giron to Garin transition coming up later, the nightcap. Chile's Christian Garin against the veteran Spanish lefty Fernando Verdasco. That follows this. Barty serving 4-5.
15 love.
What makes Barty such a good server in addition to the heat that she brings?
She's a smart server. And first of all, she can accelerate and get some pace on him. People are always saying, oh, you've got to be over 6 feet. Not true. She's also a smart server in terms of thinking about where she wants to go. If I go here, this is most likely the return I'm going to get. What serve do I want to hit at what time? She's got options, and so very good pitcher, has a lot of different abilities when she steps up to the line, and then is very methodical about which one she uses when and against what type of player. Biggest goal for her is not to let an opponent get in any rhythm returning her serve.
When Barty won Roland Garros 2 years ago, over the course of the tournament, she got serve +1 to her forehand 80% of the time.
And that's what she's looking for. And if you're a returner, you have to know that going into the match. And how do you neutralize that?
Barty.
How do you neutralize that?
Good. First, you got to try and read the serve or get some kind of idea of where it's going.
5 games.
And it's not bad if Barty hits a forehand, but you want her to hit it on your terms, not from the middle of the court on her front foot.
About 35% capacity here at the Magic Box. Four doubles for each player. Do you have a feel for a crowd favorite yet in this one?
No, I think they're just enjoying the match. Doesn't seem like they're one way, right?
I haven't sensed it.
No. So interesting how Swiatek lost her rhythm in that one service game and has been fighting herself to try and get it back. It's 2 in a row there.
Just long on the forehand.
See Barty's frustration. That's about as frustrated as you'll see her get. Covered her mouth to say a couple of words. Oh my goodness.
3 in the game, 6 in the match, and break point. In case you're wondering if she double faults a lot regularly, no. She averages 2 per match. And gets broken. And Barty leads 6-5 and will serve for the set.
Barty gana 6 juego.
Swiatek to get broken there.
Yeah, just again all out of sorts. 3 doubles and then a serve where she hit the ground harder than she hit the toss when she, in the same motion.
So Barty serving for the set. Just past 8 p.m. Madrid time. Brett and Lindsay and our Tennis Channel crew. This is day 5 for the women round of 16. Ash Barty trying to close out this first set. TC Live wraps up the day later on.
Iguales. 15.
That's at serve +1. That's the pattern and Barty is constantly looking for.
30.
Similar to her serve, she can hit that forehand anywhere. Mixes up her locations.
Got it again, and it earns her a set point.
40-30.
Ash Barty started down 3-love in this set, but she caught a gear and turned it around. They've been playing in Madrid since '03. It's been a clay court event since '09. Ash Barty is asking for something from her team to be passed to her, but with these COVID rules, the ball kids are not supposed to touch towels or any of the gear.
I know, it should be.
Well, this is a pickle.
Her trainer has it. Can you just grab it from the trainer, because I can't let the ball kids touch it. Yeah.
Can we just get Emma to come out, the physio to come out? I don't need a...
Sure.
All right, well, maybe just cut out the middleman and have Barty get it herself.
Yeah, I was surprised that.
Thank you.
So anyway, Swiatek is off the court on the set break as Barty gets something past her from the physio. In the meantime, on Stadium 3, the absolute slugfest between Giron and Andujar continues.
Question I have is, how long exactly is it going to go, Brett? What are we at, 2:51 now?
Well, the question is, will it still be going on when this match is over? Ash Barty hopes so.
Will it break 3.5?
It's live on TC Plus if you want to follow along. American Marcos Giron giving a clay court maestro all he can handle. Swiatek is back. What's your overall take on that first set?
It was just a more solid set from Barty. Got off to a slow start, down love 3. And you thought Swiatek was dictating play and moving her shots around the court. Barty looked a little uncomfortable, and then, but you know, Barty never panics. Just stays the course, stays very calm. Worked her way into that match, got her forehand to work. Got it to go off court, especially that one cross.
So, by the way, the streak is over. 18 straight red clay sets for Swiatek.
Had to fall at some point, Brett.
Mm-hmm.
Such a tough draw for both these two ladies that I think this could be a preview of a match that's played very deep in the tournament at Roland Garros.
Wouldn't that be nice? Kvitova awaits the winner as we hit an hour. Petra beating Kudermetova 6-4 in the third today.
Pero 40 love.
All right, love hold for Swiatek to start set 2. Let's give you our Tennis Warehouse tournament summary so far. First men's seed has fallen. It was Dimitrov losing to South Africa's Lloyd Harris. Belinda Bencic benefits from the hamstring injury suffered by Ons Jabeur, who had to retire. And the American men so far anyway go 1-1. Isner wins in straights, Opelka out in straights to Dominic Kupfer. Marcos Giron pending.
Got Taylor Fritz take on Ramos Vignoles, another American in this draw. Tommy Paul still alive, takes on Rublev next.
Pero quinto. La 15.
Jen Brady and Jessie Pegula both alive on the women's side.
And both in action tomorrow.
I was thinking about your statement before the break that Barty never panics, and boy, is that super true. You mentioned at the beginning how she was in trouble in that Roland Garros semifinal against Anisimova. Didn't panic there. Mentioned she had to save match point early in Miami before she won that title. She had to come back from a set down 3 times last week in Stuttgart. She's a, I mean, I know we talk about the sports psych and how mentally tough Swiatek is. Is anybody mentally tougher right now than Barty?
Yeah, the only match I've seen Barty kind of panic in was against Muchova in that Australian Open quarter. That's beautifully done there. That's that natural disguise the slice gives her. And I think it's her overall approach and her just overall outlook on the sport, the matches, life in general. Nothing, doesn't get too worked up about missed forehands or having to hit second serves.
40-30.
I mean, it's been well talked about, but she walked away from the sport and the sun rose the next day and life went on and she found her perspective.
And it takes a lot of courage to do that as well. And a lot of times the team or the family around a young player not willing to allow that to happen, allow that growth, allow that break. Credit to Barty and her family.
Here's the draw on the women's side. Full 64, no buys for anybody. Kvitova through, Bencic through. Boy, these 64, 56 draws at these 1,000 events, there's no chaff in the draw.
No, such a strong draw. Bencic getting through Jabeur in a very close match, Brett. There had been 0 breaks of serve at 7-6, 4-3, and Jabeur what appeared to be pulled her hamstring and had to stop in that match. Badosa and Sevastova in a real battle, playing right now at a set and 5-all now.
Love 15.
Well, Brett, we were talking about how much would Barty use the slice backhand in this matchup, and she's been using it a lot. Predominantly going to the slice. Swiatek drives the majority of her backhands anyways, going to the slice just when necessary. But Barty uses that shot so well, and these players, they're not accustomed to seeing it. It's not the days of the other decades, 70s, 80s, or 90s, when there was multiple one-handed backhands on tour. There's hardly any anymore. And Barty drives with a two-handed backhand, but she has the slice, that ability, like a natural one-hander.
What do you have to do when you're on the receiving end of a slice like that?
Well, it takes a lot of repetition to get used to being able to handle a slice. Once you've got to be able to get up into the court, you've got to be comfortable hitting from a very low position. You have to figure out when you make contact around your shin, what needs to happen for it to clear the net. Well, you can't drive flat. And she's got the natural disguise of the short low backhand, the drop shot. You've got to try and pressure her on that backhand wing. And a lot of the players just not comfortable doing that.
Barty perfect 2 for 2 on break chances so far. Make it 3 for 3. Tape clipper. She'll take it.
Barty gana 2-1. 2 games to 1.
They have just passed the 3-hour mark on Stadium 3. Andujar was up a break 3-1. Giron got it back. The slog continues. Live on TC Plus, very strong possibility that we're looking at our longest match of the year over there.
15 love.
Well, it's going to take a lot for Swiatek to get back into this match. Not sure she's playing with the right strategy either.
What would be the right strategy?
Well, Ash is playing to her pattern, how she wants to play, right? She's getting the serve plus forehand. She's hitting a lot of forehands, moving them around the court. Swiatek has not been dictating play in the last, what do you think, 30 minutes? She was in the beginning part of the match, taking balls early.
And a love hold to back up the break, so Barty rolling.
Yes, hello, I'm so...
us and get millions of flexible booking options. Expedia, it matters who you travel with.
There was so much curiosity when Ash Barty returned to the tour this year about what her game would be like after such a long layoff. Last event that she played last year was Doha, which was in February. So there was the hiatus for 6 months, and then she didn't come back after the hiatus, as we mentioned, because of the travel complications coming out of Australia. It would have been reasonable for there to have been rust. There has not been.
Quintero. 15 live. Iguales. 15.
Barty was great before the hiatus. She is great again after. If you start measuring at the WTA finals at the end of 2019, she's won 5 of the last 11 tournaments she's played.
Well, it's interesting when you're watching Swiatek go through this match. Brett, look where she's hitting her shots. She's getting Barty her favorite shot almost 64% of the time. Barty hits forehands from the middle of the court. I mean, that is the shot that Barty is constantly looking for. And that's, I don't think that's the way you want to play Barty. You want to make your opponents have to play their worst shot, the shot they're not comfortable with. Now, Swiatek can handle the slice. She needs to be putting pressure on the backhand, though. Taking balls, coming forward, trying to make Ash just a little bit more aware of that backhand.
T15. Gracias.
Maybe a little partisan support to see Swiatek climb back into it. She gets the hole. Little hop in her step as she heads to the chair. Just a 1-break margin. 3 hours, 10 minutes now on Stadium 3 as Giron serves for 4-all. He's a point away from that live on TC Plus. Very strong chance we'll have our longest match of the year.
Pero Ginty. Love 15.
That's a nice job there from Swiatek. She's got to take some chances now, Brett, to get back into this. Had some time on this forehand. Good depth. Able to hit off her front foot, change direction.
And a love 40 chance for Swiatek.
0-40. Love 40. Quince 40. 15-40.
That's a huge point here, Brett.
30-40.
You just get the sense if Barty were somehow able to hold from love 40. What do you and Jim call it, the boomerang break? It's still a break point here, though.
Boy, responded to the moon ball with her own moon ball that went long.
Normally, Swiatek's so quick to move forward to take a swing volley, but because she hesitated, whether she didn't read it or it was nerves.
She was yelling at herself right after she hit it.
Thought she missed it, then hoped maybe it was going in.
Well,
Barty.
If ever a game would count theoretically more than one, this feels like it.
And that was the movement of Swiatek, being able to get to that Barty forehand up the line and still hit such a quality backhand from that position.
That was such a typical Barty reaction, not mad at herself, kind of said, yeah, that was good.
Barty.
Love hold by Andujar to 5-4. TC plus. And from love 40, the hold by Barty to 4-2. Tennis Channel's live coverage of the Mutua Madrid Open presented by Infinity. Brett Haber, Lindsay Davenport, our Tennis Channel team on this Monday. Battle between the last two Roland Garros champions, and Ash Barty has had the better of it.
She's just, in this match, a more complete player and a bit better strategy and just more confident right now. Maybe a little mentally tougher than Swiatek in this match so far.
did the full whirling dervish 360 to find that ball.
15-0.
Got it back in play, and Swiatek, again, she's stopped moving forward.
Don't forget one more after this. Verdasco, Garin, and then TC Live to follow with Noah and Jim and Andy Roddick. Just thinking about your comment that Barty's a more complete player and maybe a more mentally tough player at this stage. It just reminds us how early in the evolution it is for Swiatek. Yes, she's a Grand Slam champion, but this is just the 23rd event that she's ever played at tour level.
Yeah, they have a difference of 5 years in age, a lot of experience as well.
Center service line. The ball was called in.
And sometimes Grand Slam titles happen for players that maybe their game is ready, but maybe other parts of themselves aren't 100% ready. Nice challenge there from Barty. And that could take some time for Swiatek. Game is still developing, getting used to this new position, being so well known, being expected to win.
40-0. Portilla.
5-all next door.
317, Brett.
It's going to take a tie break if they're going to be the longest match of the year. By the way, they just flashed a graphic on that other match. 130 points each.
So good.
Winner of that marathon next door plays Dominic Thiem tomorrow night.
Oh, no, really?
Yep.
Oh.
Have a nice night's sleep.
Well, that's a shot that Swiatek's got to try and get going. Maybe not as risky as that one, but trying to get that forehand line involved in this match somehow.
Still just one break. Stranger things have happened. Found the forehand line earlier in that rally, and then the backhand behind Barty to hold. Break point from Marcos Giron. He's at the top of your screen here. 3 hours and 21 minutes in. And Lindsay, he gets it.
Come on, he's going to serve for the match, Brett, after this changeover. What an amazing job he's done. Just hanging in that match. Not easy after losing that first set.
TC plus, and we'll show you the final moments of it when it gets there, but Barty serving up a set in 4-3.
That's play that you'd love to see Swiatek start to use a little bit more here.
Love 15.
Just turn up the dial a bit on the aggression. Come to net, she volleys great. She's not getting the upper hand in too many of the baseline rallies. She's not playing to the patterns that she wants to play. Got to look to mix things up a bit.
But that serve +1 to the forehand continues to pay dividends for Barty.
15.
Opening here.
15-30. 15-30. Miss Swiatek challenging the call on the right center service line. The ball was called in.
Well, Barty's been using that serve well in this match. Oh, just gets the line. Brett winning 76% of those first serve points. And look at this, almost 70% of the time she's playing the pattern she wants to play. Forehand right after the serve. That's what you've got to try and take away from her.
Light vessel.
Pair of aces for Barty. She is the tour leader this year.
Barty.
5-3 on Santana. On Stadium 3, Giron 2 points away. When that clock strikes 3:26, this will be the second longest best-of-3 match of the year.
Oh, come on. That forehand at the pressure time.
Marcos Giron of Southern Cal, with just one prior clay court win on his resume, survives a marathon against the veteran Spaniard.
Love 15.
Well done.
Phenomenal match there. Phenomenal job by Giron of getting through that match.
3 hours, 26 minutes. Dropped the first set, which went 90 minutes all by itself after leading in the tiebreak 5-1.
Yeah, just broken 2 times in that match. It was almost 3.5 hours. That is a good effort.
Iguales. 15 all. Brenda Ginton. 30-15.
Swiatek has only beaten 2 top 10 players in her career so far. They were both en route to that Roland Garros title, Halep and Kenin.
Brenda Ginton. 40-15. All
right, Swiatek does her job on serve, sarcastically puts her palm skyward to say where was that earlier. Ash Barty started today as the tour leader in wins, tied with Veronika Kudermetova. They each had 22. Kudermetova lost her match earlier, so this would be 23 alone for Barty.
Gracias.
Again, just the exact type of point Barty wants to play. Just able to control and dictate with her forehand. Swiatek giving her 4 in a row there.
Brenda Ferro. 30 love. Brenda Ferro. 40 love.
Ash, remember, had 3 double faults
15.
in the first game. It's only her second one since then. And this battle between the last 2 Roland Garros champions goes the way of the world number 1.
Well, such a composed, mature match, Brett, from Ash Barty. Never overplayed. Was able to construct points how she wanted to play them. And Swiatek just looked a little bit almost panicked out there, a little bit uncomfortable with the patterns, with the matchup. She's only 19. She's getting better.